Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing a review for Runaways issue 1. Before I start talking about this issue, just want to give you guys a couple updates. Of course, I have Comic Uno episode 207, I believe we're up to, and that show where I review all the comics I've read this week in one show. The exclusive comics will be in the description below, and the episode will be posted by Friday. But let's start talking about Runaways issue 1, a book I've been so excited for. If you guys don't know, Runaways is one of my favorite teams, one of my favorite series of all time. I love these characters and I am so excited that they have returned. So let's see if this was a good premiere issue. First of all, cover is gorgeous. I love the new designs for all the characters. We get to see though that our Runaways are older. They're not teenagers anymore, at least most of them aren't. Molly obviously still is, and Gert still is a teenager. We'll talk about that. But we have Carolina, Chase, and Nico, who are not teens anymore and entering their young adult lives. But let's see what's going on with the artwork here. Once again, it's the same artist who did the cover, Chris Anka, and I think Chris Anka's style fits really well, and what I liked about the cover, I really like with the interior, really showing Nico and Chase's new character designs, but still keeping with their personalities of the original character designs. Also, I feel like the issue does a really good job at the emotional beats, especially in the beginning of this issue, where Nico's, you know, looking at these pictures and just crying over them, and you really feel that pain. So many beautiful pages here. Again, I really think Anka's artwork fits the title very well. But let's see what's going on with the story. So with this issue, it's pretty much a focus on Nico. So Nico's been the character who's been in comic books a bit more than the other Runaways characters in recent years. She was in, obviously, Runaways, but she was also in A-Force, so she had a little bit more panel time compared to the others. She was also a bigger focus in things like Avengers Arena, those books. I think Avengers Arena had another sequel book that she was in too. So she's been in the comics for the past couple of years, where Carolina and Chase really haven't, and Molly hasn't really either, besides her older version from Battle of the Atom. So those characters are kind of been sidelined, but Nico's, you know, been in comics for the recent years. So I think this was a really good start to use her, you know, a character that people know if they didn't read Runaways previously, because Runaways has been on hiatus for a very long time. So it's about Nico feeling alone, and I love this line that's stated here. I have to find it. It's a really good line about being a runaway. The inner monologue for this book is just amazing. But let me see if I can find it. Yeah, what do you call a runaway with nowhere left to go, alone? And that's really is what, you know, Nico's at, you know, in her point of her life right now, is that she's alone. And I really like that, because obviously the whole point of Runaways is that these characters had to leave their family because their parents were evil, but they always had each other, so they created their own family. But what happens when you grow up and you kind of separate yourself from your family? So I definitely like that aspect and how that's kind of brought into with the inner monologue. So then the exciting incident happens where Gert and Chase come into Nico's house, and Gert is bleeding out and Nico's going crazy. First of all, hey Chase, and why is Gert bleeding out, and why is she alive? Because last we saw Gert, she was dead. But Chase time traveled and brought this Gert back. And what's so interesting about that aspect, I think, for the future, is that Gert's still a teenager. She still remembers all those beats that happened in the original Runaways book, or like, you know, the original volumes of it. But Chase and Nico, they've been through stuff. They're adults now. So what is that dynamic going to look like now? And how is Gert going to deal with everything changing? I think she's going to be a really interesting character to look at, not just because we haven't seen her in a while, but because of that aspect that she is younger compared to her friends, where before she was the same exact age. So I think that's going to be an interesting struggle for Gert going further. But what I really liked about Nico here too is that we go back to basics with her character, where we get to see her not have the robotic arm anymore, so she uses her staff spell the way she did in the original comic, which was that she has to cut herself to bring the staff back. And I like that Rowell, you know, Rainbow Rowell, the writer uses that to kind of bring a throwback to this book where you're like, all right, I'm back to the original tone of Runaways. Because again, we've seen Nico before, but she's been out of place of the Runaways. She's been in other titles. So now it's like, this is a Runaways book. And you really get that tone back with her having that old magic. And I also like how the narration describes that I'm not good at, you know, Nico says, I'm not good with magic. You know, I just kind of wing it each time. Because her parents never taught her that. So it's kind of this looming idea that the evil parents are still in the story, even though they're not around anymore and they're adults. Their consequences are still being dealt with our kids here, or with our young adults. So I really like that aspect too. But yeah, really fun and back and forth between Chase and Gert, as you don't really get to see their relationship skip a beat. They really get back to it, and I think that's really for any friend they haven't seen in a while that's a good friend. You could kind of get back to what that relationship was, and I think Chase and Nico really show that. It's like, yeah, they're friends, they're talking back and forth. You could, again, it doesn't seem like they skip a beat, but at the same time, Chase is kind of yelling at Nico and saying, you have to save her, you have to save her, which you understand because Chase wants his girlfriend back, but Nico is frazzled. She doesn't know what to do, and she's not confident enough in her magic that she can save Gert because she's utilized these spells before, which I also liked within trying to save Gert. Nico's trying to figure out the different spells that she hasn't used before, because that was such an original concept to Nico, which, you know, has continued throughout her character, but I like that's a big element that was used in this first issue. And then by the end, we get to see Gert and Chase are okay, and especially Gert, so we'll see how that dynamic works with next issue. But the cliffhanger is that there's this person who has a cat, who has these kind of Molly-looking eyes, where Molly has her super strength. She has those type of eyes, and we don't know who that is. So who's the cat lady, or cat person, cat man? Who's that person at the end? So it's an interesting cliffhanger, and again, maybe it has something to do with Molly with the eyes, but what's this cat all about, you know? So interesting issue. I really liked it. Again, as a Nico fan, I think you'll really like it. I think my only negative, as Molly and Carolina are my favorite characters, Carolina especially, we don't get to see them in this issue, but it's okay. I feel like it would be too much thrown in if we had Carolina and Molly just, again, thrown in there just to be there. I like the slow burn approach, and it shows the exciting incident is important. It shows that Gert's return is important, like I said. So, you know, I feel like doing that exciting incident with the issue with just Chase and Nico made it smoother, the issue. And of course we're going to see a Molly, we're going to see a Carolina issue, and we're going to see it probably from their point of view, because this was a Nico point of view, but it is a team book, so I'm sure it's not just always going to be in Nico's point of view. We will get to see what's been up to them. We're just going to have to wait a little longer. So I was okay with them not being there, but it's a little disappointing if you are, you know, bigger fans of Molly and Carolina and you don't get to see them here. But again, narrative-wise, you kind of understand why they couldn't be there. So, I know this was kind of a longer review, but I loved it. I really enjoyed Runaways. So, Runaways issue 1 gets 4.5 stars for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links to my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.